Hey guys, this is Barking Madly again, and here's my promised third video talking about my concerns and stuff about Ron Paul. Gotta get a little bit of a chuckle out of it. I actually expected my first video to get a lot more downvotes than the second one, but anyway, if you've got something you don't agree with, please tell me what, put them in the comments. This is not a monologue of me sitting here bitching and complaining about this isn't what I want. This is me trying to figure out, where am I at? What's going on? Where am I wrong? Am I wrong? That's what this is supposed to be a dialogue, but if you like the thumbs down, go ahead. It's right there, I guess. Anyway, this one's going to be on international interaction with the other countries. Piece of paper. Okay. Pardon me. Anyway, in broad terms, I think there's about 6 or 7 different ways that you can segregate how the U.S. interacts with other countries. You've got the direct military intervention, but not assault, like what we did in. You've got Bosnia and Somalia. Then you've got where we actually do a full-on assault, in like Afghanistan and Iraq. Then you've got financial intervention, foreign aid, crap like we do to Haiti, also Israel, and a bunch of others like that. Then you've got mutual defense agreements like NATO and such. Then you've got trade agreements that we can interact with, like NAFTA and all that crap. And then lastly, you've got most favored nation status, and that's when that kind of gets to me. I'll have to be honest here, and I'm not 100% sure how Ron Paul plans to deal with the international. I know he tends to pull back, and from a gut reading, it seems like he wants to be very isolationist and go back kind of to World War I kind, or pre-World War I America. Given how bright Ron Paul is, that doesn't sound like that. I just don't believe that's what he's actually looking for, because that's not possible. I mean, we live in the world we do. You can't simply patrol your borders and hope to keep everything out, because trouble's going to come looking for you. Whether it's, like I mentioned with the Department of Energy, whether it's economic issues for oil and energy acquisition, or because Russia decides to get uppity, or China gets a little more belligerent, to other things. Like, I thought it was actually kind of good timing. Irish posted a video talking about it was titled Service. Hibernia's son, I assume most of you know him. He was talking about, not directly about how we handle the rest of the world in terms of international relations, but he brought up some points that very much lead me to discuss it, and that's the folks in South Korea. How does Ron Paul plan to address the troops that we've got there? I mean, I think it's 50,000 troops. Do we let them hang out to dry? Now that we've got Kim Jong whatever in there, I don't know that they're under as much risk as they were back with Kim Jong-il, but 5-10 years ago, if we had just left the South Koreans out to dry, they'd have been overrun. No two ways about it. They would be part of the Democratic Republic of North Korea. So, what kind of responsibility does the United States have to help its friends and allies? Quite honestly, on that, like with NATO and stuff like that, although maybe NATO's not the best agreement, but our friends and allies, the countries that we depend on for trade goods, exchange of ideas, and other countries that we really like, I don't think we want to change anything with that. I think, as expensive as it is, maintaining the DMZ and patrolling it is in our national interest. Well, actually, I don't know that it's necessarily in our national interest, but I think it's the right thing to do. Now you've got other countries, and like I mentioned, NATO. I think NATO needs to be rethought. Quite frankly, I'm not thrilled with having France and some of the other folks having as much say as they do. Then you've got financial aid to countries. Israel amongst them. This is a tough one, because you got to buy your friends sometimes, or at least buy their loyalty. I mean, I don't know that we're back necessarily at the Cold War where we had to buy our countries and the Soviets had to buy their countries so that we could have our little Cold Wars and little feuds going on all over the place, or whether it's just hedging our bets. I don't really know. And I'm kind of at a loss there. I think some financial aid to countries, let's say Haiti and whatnot, I'm okay with that. But in broader terms, I have a real hard time spending billions and billions of dollars on other countries' infrastructure and all that other crap when, quite frankly, our infrastructure is for shit. And we've got people not starving, but in really, really rough shape. Quite honestly, I would rather give an K through 12 graduate or education to any illegals. Quite honestly, I think education is the one thing we can do to help the world. But I'd much rather have that money spent here, even if it's not spent as wisely as it could be. But, throwing it out, like we do is it's infuriating. But I know at some point some of it's necessary, because if you want to live in the world we live in, with the terrorist threats, with energy concerns, with water concerns, and just border protection. Irish likes to talk about defense in depth. You don't want our defense to start right at our borders. Did Britain take a hit for us when they had the bus bombs? If Britain weren't our ally, would that have happened in the United States? What about Spain? I don't know. Having allies, I think, is a good thing. Even if to some degree they're bought and paid for. Like I said, this is a tougher one. I don't really know where to go with it. I think when we need to do military intervention, I think Bosnia probably was a good thing. I think Somalia was actually a good thing. I just think we had a presidency and an administration and a nation at that time that didn't have the balls to do the right thing. Because I do think if we're the biggest kid on the block, occasionally we have to do the right thing and maybe take a punch, maybe spend some money to help folks that can't help themselves. The only problem is, favorite line of everybody around is, that's a slippery slope. How do you define it? I don't know. But like I said, anyway, in my concerns about Ron Paul is, from what I've read, if I read it pretty much literally, it seems like he wants to go back, a century in terms of how the United States handles international relations. But I know he's a really bright guy, and I just don't see that that's even remotely feasible or desirable. So in this video, I guess I'm looking for anybody that wants to respond and say, one, can you clarify what his stance is? And if anything I make says, I don't think it's going to piss anybody off, but if you don't agree with it or you want to clarify something, feel free to. And now that I've got all these little videos done, I can actually start, instead of just yabbering on my own questions du jour, I can sit here and hopefully participate in some of the other conversations that are going on, because I've got a couple of things to ask people about. Anyway, appreciate any comments, thumbs up or thumbs down, doesn't matter to me. You have a good one. Later.